And hello, everyone, and welcome back to Cyrus Webb Presents here on Amazon Live. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again. If you guys are new to us on the Amazon platform, welcome. So glad you found us. Make sure you guys hit that follow button. You see it either here in this corner or down below. You also will see some of the books by our next guest, including his newest one. We're excited to welcome back Earl Hall to our broadcast today. He's the author of this book. This is his newest one, Mind Your Business. You guys can see it there. He's holding it up as well. I want to talk to Earl not only about his newest book, his newest one, how it compares to the others that he's written in the past, but also about the upcoming season of his show, the Earl Hall Show, that's coming back as well. We are simulcasting our broadcast, so welcome us tuning in on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, X, and on Instagram. If you guys have any questions or comments, hello to you, Ellen. Good to be able to see you. Ellen says, hello to you, fellas. I'm going to have to get it. Yes, you will have to get this. It's a great book. We're going to talk to Earl all about it, and of course, let you guys know how to stay connected with him. Earl, welcome back to Cyrus Webb Presents.
Well, thank you, Mr. Webb. Thank you for having me. This is a very good opportunity for me here, and just thank you so much for that.
Well, look, it's my pleasure, man. Happy Pub Day. The
Yes.
ebook of the book officially came out today. You celebrated the paperback as well. As I mentioned, this is the newest of your books, Earl. How does it feel to have another book available for the world to be able to read, this time dealing with business?
Well, this is my first official business book that I've put out. It feels really good to be able to put something out of this caliber that's actually there to help that brand new entrepreneur or even a seasoned one that may be struggling with, the things to do, get started, and even some of the mindset things that go along with that. So I'm very happy with the book and with the response already.
Yeah. Now, it's the subtitle of the book is interesting. 10 simple insights to business success. Earl is known for a lot of things. Being simple is not one I think comes to mind for a lot of people. What was it like for you to kind of break this down, Earl, and to be able to go back to the nuts and bolts of it all?
Well, no, I've never traditionally been that simple type of guy, especially with what I'm accustomed to doing with gear and video and audio and da 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 and all that type of stuff.
Mhm.
But really understanding business principles and following some of the things that the gurus have always talked about,
Yeah.
um, just don't seem to pan out. Uh, as much so as the simplicity of the things that people like you do, for instance, just on social media and with the different type of post. You and I joke all the time about your colored background post. It's like, who just puts up a post with a couple of words and a colored background and gets a response like that? But it's the simplicity of those types of things, and even in doing podcasts like this, that I think people need to really pay a lot more of attention to. And that's why the book is here, and that's why the title is what it is.
Yeah. To that point, Earl, you say something really interesting in the book. And I think it's a great way for us to be able to start. I'm going to actually read it from the Kindle edition of the book. And I want you guys to follow along with me. Earl talks about the art of self-honesty. And I thought this is really interesting, Earl, for you to be able to talk about, because you start off by saying to build a healthy work-life balance, self-honesty is essential. Many entrepreneurs face pressure from family and friends who may not fully understand the demands of business ownership. It's coming for others to suggest that family should always come first without recognizing the commitment entrepreneurship requires. For an entrepreneur, knowing one's own priorities is crucial, as is the willingness to have open, honest conversations with family members about those priorities. There may be times when work has to take precedence, but equally, it's vital to know when to prioritize family. I want to talk about that because I think and it goes to the point you were just making about the gurus. There are so many people who talk about work-life balance. They talk about priorities and all of that. And I'm a person who believes, one thing I'm known for saying is success is personal, but I think
Yeah.
a lot of things are personal. What was it like for you to be honest with yourself, as you talk about in the book, about where your priorities were and what was important for you at this season of your life, Earl?
Well, I've said for years, the thing about work-life balance is a myth to me. Um, when I'm working, whether that's on my full-time job, whether that's on my entrepreneurial ventures, um, I'm working. And even if you take the example of having if you want to call it a regular job, right? When you're at work on your job, you're at work. Your kids and family can't traditionally come and visit you. You can't really get a lot of personal phone calls, those types of things. You're working. And on the other side of that, when you're off work, you're with your family, you're doing the family things that you normally do. You don't like it if your boss happens to call you. And if they do, you ignore the call many times, depending on the type of job that you have. So even as an entrepreneur, you've got to kind of put those boundaries in play. And Cyrus, it makes it a little bit, no, a lot more difficult when you work from home as an entrepreneur, because people think, well, you're just your family think, well, you're just home, you can go do a couple loads of laundry, you can vacuum the living room, you can, all of that stuff. You've got to make those separations. But even as I said in the book, you've got to have those conversations. You
Yeah.
can't just let it dwell out there and not address it, because all you're doing is irritating yourself, and you're probably irritating them. No, everyone has to understand, if mom or dad is working at home, it is not time to come and disturb them because they're at work. With that, if you have a home office, maybe put up a sign, do not disturb, or something like that. But you've got to very clearly set those boundaries so that you can succeed and take care of that family that you're trying to take care of in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah, this is something I pride myself on. I could not agree with you more. I am very selfish with my time, and I
Mm,
let that be known to everybody, because I think it's so important. So I do set boundaries.
mhm.
And I joke with people sometimes about that, but my mom will even say, hey, you got with Cyrus, you got to make an appointment. You better hope it's not the day you plan on dying, because if he's on the
Yeah.
show, you just have to wait until he's. But Earl, there are people that who feel guilty about that. What has helped you not to have that guilt about making those type of decisions when it comes to what you're trying to build?
Well, honestly, Cyrus, sometimes there is some guilt. Sometimes there is, because you have to set that priority. Okay, is me getting this project out important enough that I should miss that basketball game
Hmm.
of my sons or my daughters, or that soccer game,
Yeah.
or whatever? So sometimes there is some guilt, but I think that's why the conversation has to continue over time. It's not just you're going to talk about this one time and everything's going to be solved. It just does not, at least in my experience,
Yeah.
it does not happen that way. So talking to your family about these things, make sure that at least, I can't say they understand, but they know.
Yeah. Exactly. Faces and Faces, hello to you over there on IG. Appreciate you being with us. See you guys over there on YouTube as well. If you guys have any questions or comments for Earl, make sure you guys put those in the chat. ESP Presents on IG says, preach. It's a lot of work to do, never off the clock, and knowing when you're
Yeah.
off the clock during working from home. People are starting to acknowledge those who work from home, especially since the pandemic. I agree with ESP Presents to an extent, but I do also agree with what you said, Earl, that people do feel like, hey, if you're at home, they feel like you should feel almost entitled to do whatever it is that they
Yeah.
want, because
You're
it's
not
already
really
just
working. You're
there.
just,
Yeah,
you're not really working.
yeah, I shut that down real quick. But I do want to talk about the title of the book, Mind Your Business, because as I mentioned earlier, I'm a firm believer success is personal. How important has it been for you, Earl, not to try to judge your business and your success on other people?
Well, for some things, it's kind of hard. You and I joke sometimes because I can be kind of what you call bougie. I'm not really sure why you say that, because of the type of gear that I use, or the type of things that I have traditionally in the past done online and things of that nature. So, but success is definitely personal. But when you're looking to do something, especially now, and mind your business is all about you taking that simple approach to accomplishing those things. I'm not sure if that answers your question or not, but that's kind of what I felt when you asked it.
Yeah, and I want to follow up though with this though for you, because I mean, as I mentioned, this is not your first book, and for those who may have heard Earl say there are exhibits A, B, C, D, E, F, and G in the carousel on the Amazon side. You guys can look through and see some of the other books that that he has written that are here on Amazon, and I'll have screenshots too if they're not there at the time that you watch. So just hit me up. But you also are bringing back your show, your talk show.
Mhm,
I'm bringing this up for this reason because there are people out there who know what it's like to have to start. Other
mhm,
people know what it's like to start over.
mhm.
Talk to us about what's different for Earl in 2024 that was not the case with your last book release and with the last time that you were on with the Earl Hall show.
Well, this book, Mind Your Business, is the launching thing for all of it. And it is about being a lot more simple. It's about being a lot more direct and a lot more focused on just a couple of things. So many times I think entrepreneurs in many cases, get that chasing squirrel syndrome and they say, "Oh, I can do this and I can do this and I can do that." And I've become in this iteration of the relaunching and the whole start over thing for me have become very, very focused on what it is that I want to accomplish. And with the show, it's going to be that as well. I've got an announcement I'll be making on Wednesday. I'm not going to make it here, but I'll be making an announcement on Wednesday about one thing that I'll be doing that is directly related to everything that we're talking about right now, which is already very exciting for me. So I
Yeah.
can't wait till Wednesday to release that. But the Earl Hall show is going to focus on more so than ever before the thoughts, the minds, the feelings of the people that I'm interviewing in regards to the entrepreneurs, the artists, the business owners, the authors, and all of that to really find out more about the person as an individual. Because I know that the story is the most important thing. That person's story is the catalyst to everything they've ever done. And so many times, I think we don't share our stories enough.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, let's dig into that a little bit with you as an example, Earl, because you even said in this conversation something that maybe a year ago would not have been easy for you to say, and that is you're having a full-time job. You talked about that now on social media.
Mhm.
What was that like for you? Because I remember before you made that first post on Facebook, in your uniform, that was something that was not necessarily comfortable for you. Talk to us about what made you make the decision to share and what it's been like for you since then.
Well, you told me I had to do it. It was one of those things.
Oh, okay.
You told
That
me,
is perfect. Yes.
Earl, no, seriously, no, seriously. Uh, I think that a lot of times when people have gone through what I've gone through, call it okay, I was at the top and people kind of saw me there.
Mhm.
And then you got thrown down. It's not even like you had a slow roll to the bottom. You just were thrown down to the bottom of the hill during something that was actually utterly out of your own control.
Mhm.
Right. And I know that so many people have experienced something like that or almost the exact same thing and hide. I hid for months before I said, you know what? Okay, if I tell this story, and after that first post, which is still the most popular post in the past 2 months,
Mhm.
after that first post of me side by side in my Milwaukee bus driver uniform and now my Charlotte, North Carolina bus driver uniform, and telling a small portion of that story, the light bulb came on. No one criticized me. No one talked bad. No one said, "Oh, well, you failed." I was already doing that enough myself. Thank God. No, but everybody was so encouraging. And I think so many times we want to hold back the thing that we think is embarrassing
Mhm.
or doesn't put us in the right light.
Mhm.
But it is the very thing that can actually help someone else say, you know what? I can do that too. I can overcome this. And even in that, even in the video post that I've done in my uniform, you know, that was a bit like, okay, should I do it? Should I not? I was like, shucks, just do it. No one has ever asked me about my uniform. No one has ever even asked me about my job.
Mhm.
They're talking about the things that I'm talking about in the video. And one of the things that I said in the very first video I did, sitting on a bus stop, making a video, I said, told a portion of my story. You said, you know what? I did it once. I can do this again. And
Yeah.
that's what I'm doing flat out. And I want others to know they can literally do the same thing and go much farther even than I may be able to go.
Yeah. And thank you so much for sharing that. I'm going to come back to that, of course. I want to say
Mm.
for those who are just tuning in, welcome. You're watching Cyrus Webb Presents. Moses Maddox, hello to you joining us from Ohio. I see you over there. Uh, Ellen says, stop it, Cyrus. You know I got my jaws hurt. Look, it's I'm not doing anything. I'm just asking questions. That's all I'm doing here. But I appreciate you guys being with us on social. For Amazon live audience, we have the author of Mind Your Business highlighted in the carousel there. Earl Hall is joining us. Earl, you said something that to me, I hope our audience got, which is why I wanted to stay with this for a second.
Mhm.
Because a lot of times we get so in our own head about what people think about us, how people see us. But Earl just said that the audience connected. I've always told people, I think that is really the big key to my success. I know how to connect to my audience. I'm a simple country boy from Mississippi, and I've taken people on that journey of my simplicity, of how I do things, the very unorthodox way I built my business, and
Mhm.
people have connected with that. Has that reinforced for you yourself, Earl, the importance of thinking less about you and how you see yourself and how the audience sees you and can resonate with you?
Well, I think that's so important, Cyrus. I mean, for so long, people like myself, we've been concerned about, how I'm perceived, right? How do people look at me? How am I looked at as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, and everything else? And the truth of the matter is that most of us have jobs, like full-time jobs, and we try to hide that or cover it up. But it's why I made the post I made, I believe it was yesterday, or the day before. I can't remember. And it says, don't look at your job as the enemy. Look at it as your inspiration.
Yeah.
And I think so many times, instead of trying to tell that story of the struggle, which is what I'm attempting to do, I'm telling the story of the struggle of working a full time job and being an entrepreneur. But I think I even have a lot more insight because I've done this before.
Yeah.
I've been in the same spot before. But you and I had an interesting conversation once because no matter what I have gone through, the skill set that I have is still very much there.
Hmm.
I can still do all the things I've done before. My talent has not gone away.
Right.
The opportunity that I was in was not a good one in the end.
Hmm.
Now it's more focused on what kind of opportunity am I not that I'm looking for, but maybe more so, am I going to create because of what I'm able to do now that no one will be able to take away from me again?
Yeah. That leads me to something I want to read from the book. It's in chapter 6 for those who have the copy of Mind Your Business. Again, it's available on paperback as well as Kindle. The chapter itself is the power and simplicity of podcasting. But
Podcasting.
something that Earl writes in that chapter has to do with all of us when it comes to business. And that is under the subheading, overcoming the fear of starting. And this is what Earl writes there. For those who have the paperback edition, is on page 37. For many, starting a podcast can be daunting, not necessarily because of the technology involved, but due to the vulnerability of putting oneself out there. Some creators worry about being judged for their technical setup, their choice of topics, or even the sound of their voice. However, this fear often boils down to a fear of imperfection. So, Earl, I want to ask you, what has it been like for you, one, to be vulnerable with the rest of us, but also to let go of perfection?
Well, that's more on a personal side for me, not a professional side. I
Okay.
don't feel vulnerable on camera. I don't feel intimidated by speaking. All of that. What I felt intimidated by or vulnerable by was actually being honest about the things I've gone through or am going through.
Mhm.
Those are the things that I'm vulnerable about. In the book, what I'm mostly talking about is people that are intimidated by getting in front of this camera and behind this microphone and either sharing their story, talking, or whatever. And I mean, even something as simple as just holding up your iPhone, or for those of you that have regular smartphones that are Androids, just holding it up and just talking to this thing, because this is your window to the world and the world's window to you, right? And so it's so darn easy right now that you don't need all the fancy and glitz and all of that. Literally, all you need is your phone, holding it up or putting it on a tripod or selfie stick and telling your story. But I think the first time you do it, you feel like you suck. And you probably do. Okay. But that goes away with time. If I look at the very first video I ever created, it sucks to me. But you get better and better with time. But also, you get better at sharing your story and sharing who it is that you are in a real authentic way. And that's something that I had to do, was learn to just be myself authentically, as opposed to trying to be someone else or doing something the way someone else did it. Just be Earl. I'm enough.
So what helped you to do that?
Results, seeing what people, just like now, even more so than ever, the results of what people are responding to about what it is that I'm saying and how it is that I'm saying it, where it is that I'm saying it, the fact that I'm not using a fancy microphone or camera every single time. Even now, you wouldn't know unless I just tell you this. The camera I'm using right now is just my iPhone camera. I'm using my iPhone camera. I'm just being simple with this. I don't have a $600. I have one, but I'm not using it. It's like, let's just be simple. I don't have to worry about whether it's in focus or not, or I'm setting the focusing right. It's just on, right? And so many times people don't start because they think they need all these other things before they start, when you already have what you need. How many times have you heard me say, all you need is a microphone, a camera, and a solution to a problem? And you've got two of those things right here, a microphone and a camera. Yes, I see you.
Well, Earl, you have said that, but the bougie Earl, and y'all know
Mhm.
who I'm talking about. The bougie Earl, though, would say that, but wasn't necessarily what you were living. How does it
Mhm.
feel to live that now?
I love how you ask questions. Um,
It's a legitimate
oh, you
question.
were lying the whole time. How is it now that now there was well, to be perfect, I did justify that in saying that yes, you can start here, and if you ever want to move up or you ever want to increase what it is that you're doing, these are some of the options that you have. But one of the things that I've realized over the years is that most people never move up. They
Mm,
start where they are, and that's all fine. You start with the camera you have, or the webcam or the phone or whatever. But I'm trying to make it so that people just stop being afraid to use what is already in their hand,
yeah,
and just go for it, because that just becomes an excuse and a barrier to even beginning what you want to begin.
yeah. Yeah, and I think that's why I wanted to ask you that question, because that's the danger, I think, of trying to make someone else's journey your journey,
Hmm.
right? Because
Yeah.
we see what other people have, or what they say they have, or how they're living, and we think we're not, quote unquote, succeeding because we don't have that, or
Hmm.
we
Hmm.
don't do things that way. So you mentioned, of course, for yourself, this is something that you have taught, and now it's something like you were just sharing that you're now living. Going into the new year, how do you plan on expanding on that? Because you have the new book now, Mind Your Business. You have, as I mentioned, your show that's coming, the Earl Hall show. We'll let our audience know, of course, how they can be a part of that. How do you see you expanding on this as you're moving into the new year?
Mind Your Business is really my cornerstone at this point. This is the cornerstone moving into 2025 and beyond. So
Okay.
you're going to see me talking more about the concepts in the book. You're going to see me teaching and sharing insights even deeper than that. I've got interviews lined up. Actually, I've got two interviews today, you and one other interview coming up, talking about the book, and more interviews coming. And so I'm looking forward to answering the questions that people have in the book. And even when people, if they so choose to buy the book, the Kindle or the paperback version, seeing those comments that come in and those questions, because I want to be able to answer those, not just on Amazon, but anywhere on social media that people have these questions. They should know that they are able to ask me the question and that they'll get the answer.
Yeah. Last thing I want to read from the book. This is something, when I read this, I said, "Oh yeah, I got to definitely ask him about this," because, Earl and I have our own paths to business, right?
Yes.
And you wrote something in the book. The subheading is really fascinating: the entrepreneur's journey, service before self. I want to read a bit of this and talk about it because I read it, then I looked to make sure that it was the
Uh-huh.
same book, but it was still your book, Earl. but this is what Earl wrote in his book. At the heart of every successful business is an entrepreneur who serves before they seek to gain. Focusing on customers' needs and building value into every intersection fosters an environment where the business becomes indispensable to its audience. The journey may be long, with periods of intense effort and times when the returns are not immediate, but the outcome is a business that is both impactful and enduring. So much in that paragraph, Earl.
Oh yeah,
So,
I'm interested to see what you're going to try and bring out of this one.
well, one thing we all know about your amazing
I
patience.
have a tremendous amount of patience.
Yes, yes.
It is legendary.
Look, Moses says I'm done. Look, everyone who knows Earl knows he has extreme patience.
Oh my gosh.
Like, he will give you at least 90 seconds before he starts getting irritated. You haven't responded back to him in a DM or an email. I mean, it's extraordinary. I mean, it's aspirational. His amount of
I mean, I
patience.
was waiting 5 minutes here, waiting for you to get on here. So
He was waiting 5 minutes before the 5 minutes that I told him to actually be on here, so he could wait as long as he wanted to. But I want to talk about three things in this one paragraph.
Mhm.
One, thinking about the audience before you think about yourself. Two, looking at this as a long game instead of as a get rich quick type of thing, like a lot of people think about, but also being impactful, making an impact. What lessons have you learned in those three things, Earl, that you want to make sure the audience gets when they get into Mind Your Business?
The first thing definitely is about the patience thing, right? Or not the patience thing, but putting your audience first and the needs above yourself. So many times, and you can see it so much online with every post, someone is saying, buy my stuff, buy my stuff, buy my stuff. That's not putting the audience first, right? And if you look at your analytics on whatever platform you're on, you can see what people are responding to and what it is that they're not. And then social media makes it so easy now to bother people. And I'm going to tell you how. And so these are the things that irritate. And so I'm just going to put it out there. When you're posting things and you put at followers or at subscribers, or it's like, and it's coming into my Facebook feed and it's saying so and so made a comment about you or something, and there's no comment about me. They're just promoting something. And if it was natural, I would see it naturally, whether it was today or 3 or 4 or 5 days from now. I would see it naturally and I would respond. And then you have the whole thing up, especially on Facebook, people just blast DMing people. No one's asking you for any of those things, but that is not putting your audience first. That is putting yourself first in a way that you want the light to shine on you in a way that you've turned on the light. Like I just turned off my light. Okay, now I'm turning on the light and I'm going to shine it on me. No, your work, your voice, you need to have that patience to let it speak for itself and not try and force it. That is something that I think is happening way too often now in social media. You can do things on your posts, comment below or something like that may drive engagement, or you may have to look at how you're actually doing the posting. So that putting the audience first, your patience to allow these things to occur over time and not expecting the quick hit. Now, I'm sitting here talking and these words are coming out of my mouth, but these were not the actions that I used to have, right? So before Cyrus throws that in my face, I just thought I'd put that out there. So
it could already be a clip in a reel, but go ahead. I've already made a note of where it was in the but go ahead. This
so
is good.
when it comes to putting the audience first, when it comes to patience, and then I made a comment. We were talking the other morning, Cyrus, and I was saying I need to make more content that is comment worthy. Like, so what is that? And what does that look like? And I think that's something that has to be discovered by each and every individual. What is the thing that people are actually responding to that is letting me know that this is what they want from me? Last year, it was a running joke Cyrus had with me. Well, Facebook doesn't love you. Now, all of a sudden, Facebook loves me. So Cyrus says, well, duh, you're giving it what it wants. And, so I know everyone wants to smack Cyrus sometimes when they ask him questions like that and whatever, but it's like, but it is so true and it is so valid. You've got to give the platform what it is that they're looking for. So you've got to find out and do the experimentation and figure out how it is that you can put your audience first and leave yourself in the background, because what is going to come through, that cream is going to rise to the top and people will tell you what they want from you.
Yeah. ESP Presents says good stuff. Wow, ouch, and amen. And then she says, is Cyrus being well? I forgot what I was going to say. Then she says, I'm rolling over here. Look, I'm just listening. I asked the question. I got out of the way. I didn't interrupt. I'm just letting him talk. So what about impactful? What do you want our audience to know about how, by doing what you mentioned, by putting the audience first, by recognizing it's a journey and not a sprint, what do you want them to know about how they can be impactful in their business, Earl?
You really have to, there's a couple of things here, because you have to flip the script on this in so many different ways. We all know and understand it's called social media, but so many times we're not social. So many times we just want to post and want people to comment and like our stuff. Yeah. But we're not going around looking at what other people are doing and trying to even add value to what, or impact to what it is that they're doing and give them kudos for the things that they're accomplishing through the things that they're posting about and the things that they're doing. It's like we don't find the time to give anyone else flowers, but we want the whole bouquet every time we post, right? And so I think that's important. And that's a way to become impactful. And also, when you say something intelligent or noteworthy, people are going to come back and look at your profile. People are reading those comments. Oh, well, wait a minute. Who's this lady? Who's this guy? And they'll go back, not a lot, but sometimes. And that's why you have to understand how to play the long game with this and not try and just get a quick hit or a home run every single post that you make.
Love it. Great conversation with you, Earl. Again, everyone, Earl Hall has been our guest. Earl Heasy, as I call him when he's being cool.
Double dub is what I call you. Double dub. Yes, let's get that out there. Double dub, everybody.
Make sure you guys get his new book, Mind Your Business, 10 Simple Insights to Business Success. You guys can see it there. It is available here on Amazon for $9.97 for the paperback. You can get the Kindle edition for only $2.99. So make sure you guys do pick that up. Earl, really enjoyed this. Let them know how they can stay connected with you, man.
Look, everywhere on social media, I don't care what the platform is, it's at Earl Hall Studio. Go there. Facebook loves me now, so you can follow me there on Facebook, Earl Hall Studio. Of course, my YouTube channel, LinkedIn, Instagram, the whole nine. I'm all there.
All right. And so you guys will see Earl Hall Fitness and all kinds of other stuff. He's only Earl Hall Studio now. That's all. We're not going to judge him by anything else. We're looking forward. It's only Earl Hall Studio.
How many website domains do you have, Cyrus?
I was just trying to help, Earl. See, this is what I get for trying to be helpful with my guests. But Earl, this was a great conversation.
Yes, I've enjoyed this.
I'm so glad. If you guys want to look at any of his other books that he has, you can see them listed. Some of them in the carousel, some he's discontinued. I don't know. You can ask him about that. I don't know. But there are some that are still there. So you guys can go ahead. I'm trying to help. I'm trying to help you sell books.
Yeah, thank you, Cyrus. Yes.
Of course, that's what I do around here, man. I'm all about the help. That's what I do. Ella says I'm not helping. Ella, I'm trying to help. See, this is what I don't understand. But thank you all so much for being with us here. Moses says no judgment. Okay, y'all. Well, look, thank you guys so much for being with us. Make sure you guys stay connected with Earl. Look for his announcement coming on Wednesday, as he mentioned, so you guys can follow him on social. Until next time, you all make it a great one. We'll talk to you soon.
See you guys.